Disease often fathers hunger and poverty. This is the story of how one of the mightiest weapons against disease was forged. It is the story of penicillin, the first of the modern wonder drugs known as antibiotics. Alexander Fleming, a young bacteriologist, began to wonder what natural defenses might be possessed by exposed parts of the body, such as the eyes. In one of the glass dishes where he cultured germs for his experiments, Fleming noticed one day in 1928 that some mold, such as appears on decaying food, had begun to grow. A spoiled experiment. But with mind alerted by the earlier work on protective substances, he looked closer. He saw that near to the mold, no germs were growing. Might it be that this mold, like the human body, produced a substance capable of destroying germs? Fleming published what he had done, calling his substance penicillin.
Penicillin was widely used to save the lives of soldiers suffering from septicemia, but also to cure different types of diseases among soldiers.
Every time there's a war, the venereal disease rate takes a jump. It's bad enough in peacetime, but now it's like a forest fire. No organization of saboteurs could do half this damage to our army.
Effect of that, of course, was the whole idea that this was a miracle drug for many different ailments.
Vaccine, medicated shade.
You could get penicillin in face creams. You could get it in cosmetics.
That memory of this wonder drug is very important in understanding why later we came to assume that penicillin would solve every one of our problems.
The Food and Drug Administration want to phase out antibiotics used to process meat.
The animals grew bigger for less feed.
Antibiotics make the animals grow faster and enable them to survive unhealthy conditions. This system is creating antibiotic-resistant superbugs, making us all vulnerable to diseases they once cured.
I just woke up this morning with an infection in my leg. I got hit by a drunk driver, a hit and run, about a year ago. And I've gone to the hospital now about 4 times since. So this is my 4th hospital visit. I did absolutely think I was going to lose my leg. I was on some very heavy antibiotics for a week and nothing was happening. You know, each day the doctors would come in, each day they would take blood and all sorts of stuff, and I wasn't feeling any better. As in fact, I was feeling worse, and I was really concerned about keeping my leg. And if I hadn't have had those antibiotics, if I hadn't have had that surgery, plus the antibiotics that they gave me, I would not have a right leg.
Last year, about 23,000 people died as a result of this resistance. I would get a simple urinary tract infection in a patient. Cipro, Levaquin used to completely knock it out. Now you look at the culture panel, all of that is resistance, and we never used to see this.
From the food?
From the food and the antibiotic overuse.
When we take medicine, only a small part actually remains in our body. Most of it, in some cases 90%, is excreted. It ends up in wastewater and is transported to the sewage treatment plants. But most sewage treatment plants do not eliminate pharmaceuticals. This is why they find their way into our surface water. And because pharmaceuticals are intended to interact with organisms, they may affect the organisms living in these waters.
When you're asking about the groups of pharmaceuticals that we should be worried about, I think
We have to actually take a close look at those pharmaceuticals that we are developing for killing certain organisms. For example, antibiotics are meant for killing bacteria, so we actually need to check what's happening with environmental bacteria.
Antibiotic-resistant bacteria, including multi-drug-resistant bacteria, were found in all of the samples that had been collected, from the city and from the lake. What surprised the scientists was that after passing through the wastewater treatment plant, the proportion of multi-drug-resistant bacteria in the treated water had actually increased. The close proximity of bacteria to each other at the wastewater treatment plants could have been a factor. One or more antibiotic-resistant genes could have been transferred from one bacterium to another by 3 different routes.
These superbugs are contaminating our soil, our water, and the very food we eat. It doesn't have to be this way.
With our work, we hope to assess the risk of the pharmaceuticals on the living organisms and environment and humans, and we hope that our results will also give advice to decision makers.
For me, it is clear that I guess the main steps that will come in the future will that wastewater treatment plants and probably also drinking water treatment plants will get an additional treatment step in order to remove micropollutants such as antibiotics.
Very important to really study impacts of pharmaceuticals or other pollutants on the environment.
We don't have enough antibiotics to treat children already because children don't tolerate this antibiotic, they don't tolerate that antibiotic. We need more choices, not less. And if you give us a problem with drug resistance, we're not going to have as much arrows in our quiver to use. All over the world it's banned. We're one of the stragglers.
First of all, stay away from red meat. We recommended this last week. As much as you can, stay away. Nope. And if you can, use organic.
Okay, I'll go organic. I'm not giving up meat, but thank you.
Thousands of men, thanks to penicillin, will come home to their thankful families. The whole world of peace to come will reap the benefits of this great wartime medical discovery. Science has won another victory over death.